Hi, I'm Tim Roble, and welcome to another episode of Adventure Athlete. Let's talk about the Stark Varg and what I've learned on my second outing with the bike. I want to talk about the goods and the bad of the bike and how I have it set up, primarily suspension. So if you're going to order one of these bikes for off-road, I would highly recommend that you go down a weight on suspension, maybe even two. We can look at the stroke that I've used yesterday. I rode a full hour out here in the rocks. And you can kind of see primarily I stayed up in about the 5-inch marker with the stroke, riding slow rocks off ledges and stuff, but it was totally too stiff. So I came up here to the compression adjuster and I backed that off 6 clicks. And then coming over here to the shock, I backed compression off 6 clicks and high-speed compression off 6 clicks, and then took that for a test ride, and that worked out really well. One of the things I'm running on the bike is the tubeless system, and I just went ahead and put the stock tires back on, and I'm riding basically trials loops. I'm a trials guy, and well, I shouldn't say I'm just a trials guy. I've done a lot of dual sport. I've done a lot of motocross, but now I prefer to ride a very technical terrain as well as a fast, flowy single track. And this bike is an absolute weapon for that. So with that, I got that set up with the tubeless system. I'm running a 110 in the bladder that holds that to the wheel. Up front, I'm running 6.5, which seems to be okay. In the rear, I'm running 6, which is probably perfect for that right now. I don't mind the back tire so much, but the front tire in the rocks and traction sucks. And that's primarily just because of the knob design. It's not designed to do that. It's a hard tire, and it has a little not enough rubber on the ground. I prefer a 90-100 21. Usually I do a Golden Fatty or a Shinko. Sometimes I'll do the Motaz Desert IT. I like that tire also. It works really well. I do that like on my 500 EXC, and I just put that on my KTM 890 Rally. Um, the bike works phenomenal out in the rocks. I'm super stoked with it. 2 thumbs up. Give it about a 9.8, and it's going to continue to get better. We'll talk about range. So yesterday on my watch, I did 58 minutes on a Strava segment, and rode some fast, flowy desert just to see if I could break in the suspension a little bit. Then I spent my time back in these valleys in the rocks, what you would consider like first gear riding, with maybe second and third in between different transitions. But I rode a full hour. Came back sweaty. I had an average heart rate of about 122, a peak of 163 in one of the canyons, and the bike did really well. I'm at 83% battery. So let's talk about some of the things I don't like or some technical issues to get through. You have to make sure you understand what the pin is for your phone. And then you have to understand that there's going to be some updating and some stuff going on that I didn't really know. So yesterday I figured out what the pin was. I got that all set up, and then I went to go log in, and my password was not the same password I had used before. That was a quick email link, and that turned out to be okay. wasn't an issue. Um, so right now it told me to update, and I'm not exactly sure what's going on. Um, but it wanted to update. I am connected to Starlink in my truck, but if you're going to be out doing something, make sure all of that's done before you come out to the track or before you come out to do some play riding, um, because it's a thing. It's kind of a little bit frustrating, and it's probably the number one thing I don't like about the bike. It's a win and a loss. The win is you get a better solution for battery and everything. And yesterday I was at 40 horsepower, 100% regen, and I absolutely loved it. It makes this the easiest motorcycle to ride, especially in technical terrain. You can kind of use the left-hand rear brake as a clutch. Let's see if this does anything. There we go. That's walk mode. Let's see if we got anything going here. All right, well, looks like we have something. So I'll have to go in with this update. It says I'm going to have to go in and reset up all of my tunes, but that's okay. I pretty much just put in some equations at 40 horsepower, 45, 50, 55, and 62 if that ends up being 10. And I thought that was really good to work through some things. I did notice that crawl mode with my 222-pound naked body. In gear, I'm probably 235-ish. And I use that crawl mode in a tough canyon back here in the rocks. And I'll be doing some footage all week out here. So I gotta have a drone, and I got the new DJI action cam. So we're gonna take you through some of this stuff and show you what really works and how it works. But with that, I wasn't able to use crawl mode. It didn't have enough to get me up maybe a 45-degree rocky section. And maybe this new fix has fixed that. I hope so. But 83% battery for riding for an hour, I think that's phenomenal. You could ride this bike I could ride this bike all day if I could hang physically on it and do that. Another downside I see, and there's some companies already out with some solutions on this, but if you look at this as a rock bike and you look at like where are the vulnerable areas, a disc guard, I've learned not to do that as a issue running in the front. Sometimes the back is something, but I haven't bent a rotor. But the obvious, and I've talked about this before on my first initial video, the obvious is this thing hanging out right here. It needs skid plate protection to come out and cover this area. That's vulnerable, it's super thin, and there's people that make a new cover for it, but that doesn't change the fact that it's still hanging out there and it's still gonna take some abuse. So maybe me making a skid plate for it, I don't really want to do that because I'm kind of out of that business. But if somebody else has got a great solution, I'm really interested to see that. The pegs have been holding up very well. I've been really careful to keep the bike out of the rocks. If you notice this down here, it's kind of super thin. There's nothing hanging out. There's no pipe in the way. There's nothing that's going to grab stuff. So it kind of slides over things real nice. And the stroke is tall. And we'll talk about that right now. So I have raised the forks to what I'll call the max in the clamp. I am right at the top of the area. I got everything retorqued down. After I go for my first ride, I'll come back and do a secondary torque because I think that's crucial. If you notice, the wheel is off the ground, but it's not flopping over. In the rocks, I am used to riding with a Scott steering stabilizer, which is a lifesaver. This bike does not have one available yet. And I have no idea if they're going to try to make one or not. But I really like the BRP upper clamps that are isolated, bringing the bars up higher, and the Scott steering stabilizer on that. If you notice on mine, I have no steering stops. I've pulled those out, and the fork bottoms out into that area. And it is the tightest turning you can get out of the bike. I don't know if I can get in there and see, but it actually is contacting right at the face on that. So no machining, no anything necessary. It's just one of those things. So I did tighten up the steering stem to act as a semi steering stabilizer, not the same, but it'll keep the bars from flopping over and take a little bit less energy for me to ride. And talking about energy, I think I use way less energy on this motorcycle than any other motorcycle I ride. The torque is instantly there, and the torque is good up 45, 50, 60 miles an hour. I'm not even sure what my top speed is on it, but out here in this sand, it's not Glamis sand or Dumont sand, but it's definitely a decomposed granite, and it's sandy. And that 40 horsepower seemed to be enough. Probably even 35 would be enough to ride the rocks. But I think that was 83% battery that I ended up with at the end of the day. That's perfect for me. Other than that, I will be changing out the front tire on the next trip. I think that'll square that away. The rear is good for now. I'll wear that down. If I was doing motocross, that would be fine. But I like is an extreme enduro setup. I like the forks all the way in the top of the triple clamp. Gives you a little bit more clearance down there by about a whole eighth of an inch. But it is more clearance and you stay higher in the stroke. I didn't spend the day on the skid plate yesterday, so that was good. I will be charging the motorcycle. I'll take it out for a ride right now and probably spend another hour on it. Then I'll ride it up the ramp into Oscar Mike. It has 2,750 watts of solar on it and 1,800 watts of lithium ion phosphate battery on a 6,500 watt inverter that is both 110 and 220. But I prefer, especially in the winter months, it's December 8th today, so the 21st will be the shortest day of the year. Um, with the sun and cloud cover, I'm already topped off, so I'll go ride. I'll come back and plug this in. It'll probably take somewhere around, in my previous experience, from 70% up to 100%. It'll probably take somewhere around 3 to 4 hours to do that on like and I think I had that turned down 110 and then down on one of the slower charge settings. Works out better for the truck that way. That way I can get this off the charger and have it ready for tomorrow as I go ride the Electric Motion Escape XR. And I know a lot of people are wanting to know, what do I think about these two bikes? Which one would I buy if I had to have only one? And I'll just kind of be a brief explaining about this because this is going to be a separate video. But if I had to buy one motorcycle, I would buy the Stark Varg for electric. I think it just is more of an all-around motorcycle. This is based off the Trials frame. It works really well, and you notice I have Trials tires on it. It makes for an excellent Trials bike that you can ride all day long and never run out of battery on that. So that review's coming, and I'm out here all week, and I'm going to film some drone footage and just have a wonderful time so I can really give you a great idea about putting some hours on the Stark and what happens. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is I backed the adjuster off for the rear sag, and I did a turn and a quarter, and I didn't even take a measurement. I just went by feel, because in an extreme enduro bike, I do like the rear end to sag better. I feel like the rear is really dialed. I'm still working on the front, but the suspension on this bike is incredible right out of the box. Just order it. If you're going to do off-road riding, order it at least one down from your weight. That's my opinion. Anything you would like to know about this that I can help you guys out with, hit me up in the comments. Once I said I have Starlink, so Starlink will allow me to interact with you guys on YouTube. I'm out here in real time, so if there's something you guys want to see, please hit me up and let me know. If you haven't liked and subscribed, I'd love to have you guys as a subscriber. If you just drop me a comment, that helps out the algorithm too. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you guys, and I'll catch you here next time.